It's a cold, foggy Saturday, August 12th morning here at Site B, and I guess winter has decided to come early. I don't know. It's Saturday. It's the end of the week for us. Not a lot going on in tabletop gaming news. So let us go back to the first story of this week and the numbers from Wizards of the Coast, because when in doubt, we can talk crap about Wizards of the Coast and how they're are affecting the rest of the gaming world. As we get closer and closer to 2024 D&D, we get closer and closer to see what Daggerheart's going to be. We get closer and closer to see how the rest of the industry is going to respond. Should 2024 D&D fail? It's going to fail, guys. Let's face it. We have some more stories coming out of the Q2 conference call. We've got yet another instance of the Chief Executive Officer of Dungeons & Dragons, of Wizards of the Coast, of Hasbro, Chris Cook, talking about how the business, D&D business, is all about digital. The underlying thesis of our D&D business is all about digital. We want broader audiences to expose to, which is why things like Baldur's Gate 3 is a main source. And they're going to continue to focus on that theater of the mind, that digital thing. $80 million worth of digital investment. So, yeah, I mean, if you're the one person who's still hanging on to the idea that this is not the plan for Dungeons & Dragons, again, I'm sorry, dude. Wake up and smell the digital roses. This is the direction Hasbro is taking D&D, away from the tabletop role-playing game theater and more into the it's a video game, it's a lifestyle brand. Chris Cooks, ladies and gentlemen. Baldur's Gate 3, the game that they hired somebody whose job it was specifically to make sure the sex scenes in Baldur's Gate 3 looked and sounded accurate, including the scene with the bear or the other scene they found with the ogre and the hill giant. I mean, this game is basically just softcore. Well, not even softcore porn. This game is basically a hardcore porn game disguised as Diablo. Save yourself the money. Just play Diablo and watch Pornhub. I mean, wow. That's okay in the eyes of Hasbro. But no words, hateful content, or titties in a project like, Spelljammer, well, that's bad. That's bad. We can't have that. But, a guy fucking a bear, we can have that. Yeah, the guy fucking a bear is okay. Thanks to Professor Dungeon Master for finding all these. These are all in the Mottly Fool and the Q2 quarterly report that was made available that we looked up for Monday. I probably could have found these too. In fact, I know where he got them. I'm just too lazy, and Professor Dungeon Master did it for me. And, Professor Dungeon Master is awesome, and he's getting a lot of crap right now from the 5e crowd. How dare he talk about other games besides 5e? And maybe, if I say a couple of nice things about Professor Dungeon Master, he'll say a couple of nice things about me. So thanks for finding this article for us, Professor Dungeon Master, and posting it. I've got a link down below to the video that I got this from. This is all coming out of the Q2 conference call that we had at the beginning of the week. The numbers, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro would like us to think they made $9 million this quarter, but compared to where they were a year ago, the numbers are down, almost a 100% drop from where they were a year ago. That money is continuing to drown, and the more and more of the emphasis of Hasbro is going to be back on toys and digital product and board games and not D&D, because yeah, it's not the main force of money making for them. Apparently, they think Furby is. Now, we often argue about D&D sales maybe not being as big as you'd like, or what D&D books are really selling, or, maybe the numbers aren't as huge. And people are constantly arguing about, well, you making no money, but D&D's making money. And then we have to argue back, well, I don't know. I mean, because, Shadow Dark RPG made over $1 million on Kickstarter. Tales from the Valiant made over $1 million on Kickstarter. So, yeah, I think we are making money. But if you don't want to believe me, we can go to the numbers. So this is a spreadsheet that Professor Dungeon Master found or made, where he has accumulated all the knowledge regarding sales going all the way back to 2015 for how many copies of specific books sold in the United States through the major retailers. So this doesn't count, small retailers like mom and pop stores, but the major retailers like Amazon and Target and stuff like that. So between 2015 and today, the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook Core Rulebook only has sold in 1,586 copies. So close to 1 million copies of the Player's Handbook for D&D since 2015. Now, that's a surprisingly small number considering supposedly 50 million people are playing D&D across the world at this point in time. But, this doesn't count digital sales, and it doesn't count D&D Beyond sales. It only counts physical copies. And let's face it, most of the people's Players' Handbooks that they have purchased are the digital copies, or that they've, purchased directly through the Wizards of the Coast store. And this numbers don't count this. This numbers is just Amazon, Target, places like that, big box retail sales. So, it is a little skewed. And of course, where is it? Yeah, the Spelljammer only sold 84,000 copies. Candlekeep Mysteries only sold 77,000 copies. And where is it? What are we looking for? Oh, yeah. Tales from the Odd and Portal sold 108. Wildmount sold 116,000. Fizbins sold 129,000. And Radiant Citadel, that's the one we're interested in, Radiant Citadel. Radiant Citadel sold 11,000. 11,000 copies for Radiant Citadel. That's just awful. Yeah. So these numbers are available on the Mottly Fool, on the Q2 quarterly report from Hasbro, on Professor Dungeon Master's channel, link down below if you want to see them yourself. What is this telling us? Well, it's telling us some good things, some bad things. Let's just be honest from a Wizards of the Coast fan point of view. What's this telling me is that while, stores like Amazon, Target, Walmart are getting the big chunk of sales as opposed to friendly local game stores, which is sad but understandable, Wizards is constantly trying to push friendly local game stores out of the equation because they don't think people like us go to friendly local game stores. They think we buy all our product from Target and Amazon and Walmart, which for the most of the part we do. It also shows that the further we get along the Wizards of the Coast timeline between 2015 and now, more and more of those sales are going directly to digital. Since brain not working today, need more coffee. Radiant Citadel is the one we're talking about because it won that stupid prize. Physical copies, only 11,000. That is disappointing. Disappointing. It only made like nothing money-wise. So, yeah. That's disappointing numbers. But that doesn't count, baby sales at friendly local game stores. It doesn't count D&D Beyond or digital sales. It's only the physical sales that were made via Amazon, via Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, Vons, I don't know, whoever has the big box retailers in your country. Here in California, it's Walmart and Amazon and Target and other ones like that. But I don't know, there might be other ones where you live that do the same thing that have different names, Barnes & Noble type things, or just basically big box retail chains. 11,000 big box retail chain sales is nothing. That's nothing. But digital, Don't know, but it's basically just showing us A, D&D is not selling the way people would like us to think, and B, what is making the sales is digital, which goes back to the future of Dungeons and Dragons as per Chris Cook. Video games, digital, Baldur's Gate style thinking is that what they think the future of D&D is. Get that virtual tabletop off and running, get that virtual DM up and running, get everybody to switch over to D&D Beyond and stop buying the physical stuff. And that way we have complete control over everything that they have in their D&D Beyond library, because you're renting the space in D&D Beyond. You don't own anything. You're renting that space. If you spent $33 for that player's handbook, and that player's handbook is in your D&D Beyond bookshelf, and you can't pay the D&D Beyond fee the next month, so you have to cancel your account, well, that D&D digital book copy is still sitting on your digital bookshelf in D&D Beyond. Meanwhile, your physical world bookshelf doesn't have that book. So basically, they just stole $30 from you because you can't afford to keep paying the rent on that digital landscape. So, yeah, not a good sign. And, if I was feeling more petty, I would use this as a chance to rub some salt in the wound of the people who are all out there saying the things that contradict what I say about Wizards of the Coast. And let's face it, there's a lot of stuff that comes out of my mouth that's easy to contradict or make fun of. That's sort of the point. I mean, I kind of make fun of myself, like yesterday's rant about hypocrisy. That was all just basically, me being hypocritical about other people doing the exact same thing I'm doing and saying, well, if I make fun of it, maybe it'll stop and we can start reinvesting that energy in something important. But when I talk about this Wizards of the Coast D&D crap, that's all 100% true. I would love it to be not true. There's still part of me that loves D&D. There's even part of me that likes 5e. There's part of me that definitely feels the way Wizards of the Coast is handling our beloved product is completely incorrect. And they need to rethink the way they're doing it going forward, because they're going to lose their fans, especially if Mercer and company actually push Daggerheart, which as of today, they're not. That's a topic for a separate vlog, though, but I think it's safe to say it kind of feels like they've given up already on both of those titles. But we'll see. We'll see. It's still got a year. We still got a year. So what do you think about these numbers? Again, head on over to Professor Dungeon Masters to take a look at his much more in-depth take on these. That's about all I've got to go on today because my headache's already starting. Stay warm, stay dry. Let me know what you're thinking. And if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe. Help me hit that 2,000 sub mark by the end of the year. And we'll talk to y'all later. See ya.